Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is John Phillips, co-founder of PredictIt, the stock market of politics. Today, we're going to take a look at some charts that are going to indicate whether or not we're looking at conviction of impeachment and what it means for Republicans in Ohio. John, it's great to see you as always. And despite all the other news we have going on in the markets and the snowstorm in the Northeast and so forth, still have a lot going on in the world of politics. And let's follow that up with what you're seeing in terms of the odds of conviction of impeachment.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Jill. It's good to be here. You know, being a veteran of more than one political campaign, usually the entire tribe of campaigners and campaign workers and political consultants go on vacation after the November election of an even-numbered year. And that hasn't been the case. There's so many developments in politics this year. It's just a continuous onslaught of events and frankly of things that predicted traders want to trade on. So we've got great price discovery and great action on some of these markets. Impeachment is fascinating because there you saw a flip from likelihood of impeachment in the days immediately following January 6th. Now, you know, the market is overwhelmingly saying they do not believe the Senate's going to vote to convict Trump by only 7% odds on 2.2 million shares traded that the Senate will convict Trump in the first 100 days of the Biden administration. That matches with votes to convict on incitement by April 29th. You really have 55 to 56 votes. You get 34%. That's up a penny. And 53 or 54 votes is up to 33 cents. So 1/3 it's 3-to-1 odds that the Senate will not vote to convict Trump on the incitement charge in the first 100 days of or by April 29th. That ties into what's going on with Ohio. You know, some people read the retirement of Rob Portman, the senator from Ohio, to mean that he was preparing to vote for impeachment, for conviction rather. But now the market is saying that Portman votes to convict Trump by April 29th. It's only 25% odds. That's up a nickel. And down a nickel is that he will not vote, but it's down to 75 cents. So 3 out of 4 odds that Portman will not vote to convict Trump by April 29th. And then which party is going to win that Senate Ohio seat because Portman is retiring? 70% odds it'll be a Republican. And who's going to win the Ohio GOP Senate primary, which is where, as you know, Jill, most of the action on lots of these campaigns takes place. It's in the primary. It's Josh Mandel at 28% and Steve Stivers at 14% odds.
So, John, I know it's tough to comment on these things. No one has a crystal ball, but from your area of expertise, what changed since January 6th? Is it because our news cycle is so fast and furious and we're on to the next topic, or perhaps we're focusing on how vaccination progress is going and a number of the other issues that the Biden administration has to work with? It feels as if the news cycle's quieted down a bit on this. Or are we focusing on the unity message and moving ahead, or is it just we've moved on to the next crisis? Why do you think the flip or the lack of conviction has dialed back a bit?
It's such a great question for which I certainly don't have the answer. I mean, the question is it just time that is some time that has passed and people who were enraged by what happened on the 6th and believed that the president deserved to be impeached for that and then convicted in trial? It could be that tempers have cooled down a bit. It could also be political calculus. By some, it certainly is. There's a lot of this going on where people are looking to see which way the wind's going to blow. This is as much a referendum on the future of the Republican Party as it is on the merits of any trial in the Senate. And you're looking at 100 senators. They're making their individual calculus, and part of that calculus, and it's happening on the Democratic side as well. Mm-hmm. Would the Democrats prefer that Trump be a force in the Republican Party for the next 4 years, betting that that will be to the detriment of state and local candidates in the Republican Party. It certainly hasn't happened that way, but that's a great question. It might also be there's other events, right? There are as impeachment seemingly recedes in the public consciousness. It is, the first and foremost is what's going on with the pandemic. There's been exciting vaccine news in terms of the efficacy and the number of the vaccines that are available. And then you've got this whole thing with the Reddit crowd taking place that seems to have caught people's attention and fascinates people. So it's probably a combination of those things.
I also think it's interesting. The first time you got agreement on both sides of the aisle in some time has been around what's happening in the stock market. So it's really interesting to see how there's a little bit of this anti-establishment in the air. And the one thing that gets some conformity on both sides is this. So it's really interesting what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Speaking for myself, that's where my focus has been. It's just fascinating to see how it plays out. So I think you're right there, just as we get through the news cycle and perhaps time does, I don't say heals all wounds. There's nothing to heal about this situation, but our conscience does seem to shift very quickly these days.
That's right. And how you determine what constitutes the mob is whether you're a Wall Street short seller or
it's a great
member of Congress. It's a great question. This is going to continue. It's pretty clear the volatility is going to continue for some time. That assumes no additional shocks to the system, external shocks to the system, which we also know, Jill, is not a particularly likely forecast. There are going to be unexpected events all through 2021 and into 2022.
I would agree with you there, John. Great to see you as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.